The Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment at the University of Johannesburg is committed to the awareness and literacy of technology to students and learners of all ages. Their very own TechnoLab was established in 1995 and has presented courses to over 60,000 students to date. Here to tell us more about Robotscience, one of the workshops offered by UJ's very own TechnoLab, we have Michael Ettershank, or Coach Michael, as he is known to the students. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Nicholas. Most fortunate to have this opportunity to speak to you.
Now, you are presenting these robot science courses. What exactly do you do? What do you teach the students in these courses?
What happened is we now in our first pilot program where we've got more underprivileged teenagers from Soweto, and they are actually busy building this at the moment. And the wonderful thing about this is you get a blank printed circuit board, you put all the little parts on, you learn to solder, but you also learn theory. You learn about atoms and protons, electrons, how does a transistor work, what is a silicon crystal. So there's quite a lot of theory, but it's not too theoretical, it's quite practical. So and once they've built this, obviously then they learn to program, and it programs in real-world programming language called BASIC. So if I put this on the table like so, and this is now a whiskers sensor type robot. So it's basically, it'll run up and it'll drive along until it touches on an obstacle. And the idea of this is that it can find its way through a maze. And the other thing that we teach them is an interpretation program where you can take an ordinary Sony television remote control, this is just a generic one, and if you plug in this computer here, we've got some programs on the computer, but like mum and baby with an umbilical cord, in scientific language, this is a USB serial cable connect, and what we can do is in just a moment we can reprogram, and I'll show you the program in a moment, but what we can do is if we go F9 there, now it's downloaded the program to the robot, and now the robot behaves in a completely different way. It'll wait for you to point this remote controller at the robot, and you can turn the robot around, you can drive the robot backwards and forwards. So this is a remote controlled robot. And all of this is achieved with just a few lines of code, and what I'll do is I'll show you what the code looks like here.
Do you teach students how to code and how to program as well? That looks very complicated.
Absolutely, we teach them. It is so important for young people to learn programming, and there's various levels at which you can learn programming. So at the most basic level, you can just learn blocky drag and drop type programming, but I actually teach real programming.
So who can apply for these courses?
I tend to specialize in 14 to 18-year-olds because they're already young people and they're almost adults, and they've got opinions and views about things, and they want to know that what they're doing is relevant and important and that they can build towards a career with that. And that's why we teach them real programming languages. You know, I've felt that from all of the pilot projects that I've run in the past, that a young person aged 14 onwards is very ready for this experience, and they get a lot out of it.
Well, thank you, Michael, for your time. And there you have it. If you want to build your very own Wally, make sure you check out www.robotscience.co.za to find out where and when you can get your hands on one of these.